maybe this is more of like a metaphorical, but what would send you into the Underdark?
I think what would make me go down there and adventure is just discovering the unknown. Like, why not? Why not go down there and find out what's down there?
Curiosity then?
I don't like to live. I really don't like to live in the what ifs. Like, I really don't. Like, it's like I'll never be. I'll never, luckily, be that person that's like, what if I would have started that business? No, I did it. It could have been scary. It could have been my underdark, but it's just like, no.
Keep it nerdy. Keep it nerdy. Keep it real nerdy. Nerdpreneur, you know I love my work. Life's a game, so I'ma take my turn. Nerds deserve to put their passion first, so let them rap a verse so they can all be heard.
Yeah, my nerdy passion basically is drawing.
I'll let you guess, but yeah, D&D. I do a lot of that.
Correct. I'm a breeder of tarantulas. I'm importing tarantulas and some other critters.
I am a small, independent board game designer.
I wanted to make props for D&D.
I am a LARPer. I dress up in funny clothes and pretend to be other people and hit my friends with sticks sometimes.
Nerdpreneur, you know I love my work.
Welcome to Nerdpreneur, where we have fun conversations with people making money with their nerdy passion. My name is Chris, and as always, I am joined by my co-host Frank.
Hello.
And today we have a very special guest. Her name is T, and welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. Excited to be here. My name is T from @TPimentel over at Instagram, and yeah, that's me. Keep that short.
Awesome.
Well, T, what is your nerdy passion?
My nerdy passion is making fairy wings.
Fairy wings.
What? That is crazy. I went into this very cold, not knowing much at all about what we were going to talk about, and that is fascinating. By fairy wings, do you mean like costume pieces for people to kind of wear, or like how does that?
Yes, they're wearable costume pieces. So yes.
Nice.
And how do they attach? I mean, I can see what's behind you, but for like our listeners, that
For
that
the
can't-
listeners,
yeah.
you can, if you are a person that wears a bra or corset, you can just slip them behind that. Or if you are a person who does not like wearing bras or corsets, there are little attachments in the back of the bracket that you can strap on ribbon or elastic and put them on like a backpack.
Cool. And you've got a bunch of different styles. I mean, I've seen a couple on your website and they look awesome. I mean, they are
Thank you.
they're so magical the way,
Oh,
some
thank you.
glitter, some kind of look like flames so you've got a
Mhm.
really nice variety. And
Thanks.
how do you typically put them up? What is your kind of your rhythm?
I typically take about 2 weeks and I try and kind of make a batch of them. And then I do a drop a month. I don't ever have a specific date because I do work full time aside from this. And then I
Right.
also have a part time job at my gym where I teach boxing. So I do what I can.
Wow, you're busy.
I am busy.
I'm looking at the website right now, and I'm seeing how each of them have like a lot of texture to them too, and they are
Yeah.
shiny. And there's some that look almost like fiery, like they're moving
Yes.
on their own. Like,
I
okay,
just
I got
said that, Chris. Where were you?
no, I know, but
just said the same thing.
No,
You
no,
taking my
okay.
script now?
I'm going somewhere with it though, man. Like,
Oh,
I
I'm
want-
sorry. I'm sorry. I ruined your flow. Go back.
I'm
Take it back.
I'm wondering, just like, okay, first, what's it actually made of?
The way that it gets those reflections is
Yeah.
it's cellophane, so it's opalescent. It's catching kind of the light as well as whatever
Wow.
colors I decide to spray paint. It also kind of reflects those colors as well. So that's what's going on there with the fun colors.
And I feel like instantly I thought about, festival season and lots of people going out to wear fairy wings. Because I may have seen a few of your fairy
Burning
wings
Man.
on people at Burning Man or Shambhala or any
Yeah.
of these kind of ravey type electronic music festivals where people wear bright lights and fairy wings and all sorts of cool costumes. And so would I be correct in saying that that's kind of a market?
That is totally a market. That Ren fairs, all those Comic Cons, all of that stuff.
Nice. I know a lot of people that would love this stuff, which is one of the reasons that when I saw what you were posting, I was like, oh my gosh, like there's so many people I know personally that would just go nuts for these. And being that Chris and I are very much in the Dungeons and Dragons world, it's also very appropriate.
Mhm.
So
Awesome.
really cool.
Well, you make them all by hand, right? So this
Yes,
is
they're all handmade.
Do you have a history in like clothing making and stuff, or is this just sort of something you
No.
picked up out of necessity? Did someone say like, how did you get into making fairy wings anyway?
I know, yeah. Not out of necessity because I work full time, but
Right.
it was more of I model with my friend Joy. She's a photographer, and we were getting a job for Enchanted Living, and they said that they wanted the theme to be fairy themed. And so I had a lot of on her hands to make other props and things like that. So she said, "Hey, would you mind like helping out and maybe seeing if you could make a pair of wings?" She sent me a YouTube video. I made a pair, and then somebody asked me, "Hey, do you sell these?" And I didn't, but then I kept getting, "Hey, do you sell these?" And I'm like, "Well, why not? Why am I not selling these?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
so, so I was like, "Okay, yeah, I sell them now. Do you want to buy them?" So that's kind of where it just took off. Very accidental, I guess.
That's often what we hear too, is that sometimes people are making something out of passion or out of, and when I meant to
Mm.
necessity, it wasn't necessarily financial necessity. It was out like
Mm.
I needed this thing for this project I was doing, or I was just messing around with
Yes.
things. And so that's what I kind of mean by necessity. And like we had someone on who makes what we call mimic books, and it's like again just was doing it sort of out of fun, but then had so many people start saying, well, can I buy one? That's so cool. Or, do you
Mhm.
sell these? Like that's a good indication that you're probably finding something people will want to spend money on, and also that you could create into a business. When did you kind of take the leap to saying, I'm gonna really make this a regular monthly thing, that I'm gonna put these out and do a drop every month? And
That happened more like during COVID 2020. I said, "Oh, I'm going to do this and sell them." And then I started taking it a bit more serious. And then I was like, "No, if like my name's attached to this first of all. So now it's not just I'm going to sell these." I'm like, "No, now the packaging needs to be on point. Now the marketing needs to be on point. Now it's a brand. It's not just a casual thing. I need to schedule monthly drops. I need to get my name out there. I need to get on podcasts and socialize and just get out there and engage with all kinds of different people from all different niches and all that." So, and also like I'm kind of competitive.
oh,
Mm.
nice.
If I'm being honest with myself, I'm kind of competitive. So
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, it needs to be better. Like, what can I?" I'm like, "No, no, no, better, better."
Yeah.
Mm.
Chris and I understand that vibe of like, okay, it's time to level up. And so
Hmm.
I'm very curious. I mean, Chris kind of touched on this, but the idea of when that moment happened, do you remember that specific moment and what was going on when you realized, okay, now's the time to level up?
I think what it was is when I actually saw them out in the wild, out on people wearing them, people making TikToks, people wearing them, and then I was like, "No, these need to be better. Like,
Whoa.
if my name is attached to this, like this needs to be better." So it was the moment that I saw someone actually wearing them. Because sometimes you don't really connect with the buyer until you see them using your product in their hands and,
Totally.
as they say, out in the wild. So that's when it really like connected with me. And I'm like, "Uh-oh, oh."
Well, I bet there's a whole bunch of like making that leap into a business is definitely not only a mental leap, but there's a lot of things you wind up having to do. Like you mentioned
Mhm.
packaging and branding.
And investing.
Can you talk through a little bit about what choices you wound up having to make there, and maybe some either
Sure.
challenges or insights you wound up finding?
Yeah, so the first year of my business, I mean, they're still handmade, but I was hand cutting them out and hand everything, every step of it was by hand. And then when I decided to take that leap and kind of make it a bit more scheduled, I invested in a machine to cut out the stencils. I still do the designs, but now I don't do the
Hmm.
designs on paper. I do them on a
Mm.
tablet and make PNG files, like images, like vector
Mm.
images and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I had to learn all of that. I didn't go to graphic school or anything. I didn't go to any of that. So I had to like YouTube and learn and YouTube University. Okay.
Being, yeah, that's right. Self teaching is so important, right?
It's so
Yeah.
powerful too. But luckily, I'm able to just visually learn and it works out really well for me. When you have a business that you sell products in, you have to have a bunch of different suppliers, especially if you buy from Amazon. That box could not be available next week with that same seller, and it could be $20 more.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's
Oh,
nuts.
yeah.
Did you learn that the hard way?
Oh yeah, cause then the next month I'm like, oh, just go put my order in, thinking my boxes are gonna be $60. They're $120.
Whoa.
Ooh.
That's just packaging.
And that's exactly, and that's just packaging. And it's just like, are you? And then you have to make the choice as a business owner. Are you gonna raise your prices up that 1 month because the box was higher that 1 month? No, you have to. It's like a loss in a way,
Mhm.
unfortunately. But
Yeah.
those are the things that you have to take in account. Packaging, make sure you have multiple sources for your materials.
I wanted to ask, you had mentioned investing earlier and like an investment into your business. Aside from, you had already mentioned some software and some other tools. What kind of investments did you make and are you currently making?
The sort of investments that I've made, as I mentioned, the software, machinery, investment in the education of running a business,
Time, right?
Yeah.
and also learning things like TikTok and Reels, and like you really have to move with the way that social media is moving, or you will get left behind in a second. In a second. But luckily, there are ways that you can make reels. And for me personally, I don't like to dance. I don't want to mouth words to a song. That's hella corny to me. Like I don't want to do any of
Yeah.
that. So I do what's comfortable for me, and I encourage
Yeah.
other business owners, do what's comfortable for you. But you have to use the tools that people are watching TikToks, people are watching Reels. You have to be where the people are.
Yeah.
So learning all of that and just getting over that hurdle and getting over it's more of a mental thing, like, because it's like I watch it back and then I cringe and I'm like, but they want to see this. So it's just
Yeah.
in my head.
When you started, because this is funny when you talk about like the idea of getting yourself not only into a business but also like out there online, it's really putting your face and your brand and everything out there. A lot of people have challenges around just like putting themselves out there, making that mental leap to creating, say, their first TikTok video or their first post on Instagram. It's vulnerable, right? How did you make that transition, and was it something that was tough, or do you have any tips for people looking to make that transition?
Let me try and think of a tip, because it wasn't that much of a hurdle for me, because I was doing magazines and modeling, and I was already front center. Here I am, criticize me, say whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like I was already exposing myself to potentially being mocked, made fun of. It's art. It's kind of nerdy art because it's fantasy, so it's just like it's open for opinions and criticism.
Yeah, nerds never get opinionated about their stuff. Actually,
Well,
fairy
actually,
wings
Chris,
would not
let
have
me tell you,
points like that. They would actually be shaped like butterfly knots.
You never know. You
I
really never know.
I
People
bet
come out
that's
of
a thing that
nowhere.
comes up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think my tip would be make sure that you are putting the phone down and making sure you have a real life outside of the socials. Like make sure if you have a partner, spend time with your partner. Make sure you are grounded with your peoples. Like it's social media. People are really truly only showing what they want to show you. So just take it with a grain of salt. Don't take it too seriously. Put it out there. You never know. I put up a reel the other day and it had like 100,000 views, and I'm like, what is this? What is this?
Yeah. How did this happen?
It's
What's the
I don't.
magic?
surprising.
And
Yeah.
then I'm like, okay, how do I do this again?
Yeah,
And then,
right.
and then I can't figure out. So I've posted so many after that, and like they have not done that. So I don't know what it is.
Sometimes it's just putting things out there and you really don't understand. Like, I remember my most popular reel ever is me rolling a dice. And it happens to come up one, and it got over 100,000 views for some reason because people thought it was funny. I don't even understand exactly why. But the algorithm is a mystery, right? And I always say to
Really
people
is.
that the algorithm is there in some ways to give you opportunity, but also to protect you. Like if your content sucks, no one's going to see it. So don't worry about putting yourself out there that much, right? Like if a couple
That's
of
true.
people see it, and it's embarrassing. It's like only a couple people are going to actually see it, unless it's embarrassing in a really good way.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Kind of
In which case,
good,
then
yeah,
there's no bad
publicity.
publicity, right?
like a viral,
Yeah.
horrible. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm curious. So, one of the unique things about your business from the other people we've spoken to is it's very much a materials heavy business.
Mhm.
What
Mhm.
you're doing is you're getting from different suppliers, and right now it's a crazy time. I mean, we kind of talked about that in packaging. And
Mhm.
so, I'm wondering if you can share some tips for some folks that that might be either looking to get started in a material based business, or if that are in it, and some lessons that you've learned
I
around.
have some great tips on that actually.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
I would say that if you're looking into doing some kind of material based product where you will need various materials to create that final product, as I said before, make sure you have multiple sources of that
Mm,
material. Like, don't just
Mm.
count on Amazon to make sure they're going to have that box for you, that buyer for you, whatever the material is you need. Make sure you have multiple sources, and also make sure you check for something that's called lead times. Lead times means if you place your order today and they said 14 days out, that means 14 days out, then they'll ship it.
right.
So pay attention to those things. The lead time comes in more when you're ordering things in bulk. It doesn't happen when you're ordering one item things, smaller batches. That's easier, but still try and make sure you can source that material from multiple suppliers, because especially right now with shipping and everything, gas prices, it's gonna take longer. It is what it is. But try and stay on top of it before you end up like totally out of stock of some material, and then you have an order and someone's like, actually, do you do rush orders? And then you're like
That's
I
not
do, but
cheap
I
either.
can't because I don't have the materials to make it. So it's just like you never want to be in that bind.
Yeah, you'll miss out on that opportunity. Totally.
Mhm.
Do you like when you film? I've been your Instagram is pretty awesome with like reels, and I
Oh,
love that you
thank
have a
you.
bunch of. Well, I really like the way that you've got all these cool like you're behind the scenes in terms of like this is how I'm
Thank
making
you.
it and all that stuff. Like
Mhm.
that's really cool. You also have some really good visuals, obviously, like the tone and branding. Like, is there sort of some principles behind the strategy in your Instagram around like, okay, this is the style that I go for, and this is my branding, and like when I post,
For
that kind
me.
of thing?
Not for me. Not for me, but I'll take the compliment that you think it's cohesive. Sometimes I think my stuff is all over the damn place. I think I just try and keep it simple. I try not to use too much colors. Like what I'm wearing, I try and keep it basic. Like sometimes I don't want to say unfortunately, but there's this misconception that I'm down here in some kind of gala fairy dress or something, and I'm not dressed in a fairy outfit all the time. I'm very casual. I wear hoodies. I'm wearing workout clothes because I was working out today. So I really do try to film myself in my natural environment. Like I'm not trying to put up a front. I don't wear corsets, and that's not me. I do see some people that do that, and in my head I'm like,
Is that
Mm.
they really.
practical?
I'm like, are you really? I'm like, are you really doing this on the daily? Like, come on now.
Yeah.
But so I'll take the compliment, but I try purposefully not to make it too cohesive because I also want to be realistic. Like that's not realistic.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about social posting is if you're going to do it regularly, it has to be maintained, right? And I think the
Hmm.
regularity with posting is one of the most important things that, at least one
For
I've
sure.
seen, and also that I've heard from many creators, is just you have to find something to post every day. And if every day you're having to put on a corset, fairy wings, makeup, like get a
Oof.
No, thank
whole
you.
professional photo
Oh,
shoot together, it's just like
I don't
it's
know.
not sustainable, nor is
Yeah.
it
I don't have time for
actually
that.
realistic. But what I guess what I noticed in your content is that it
Mhm.
is authentic. And one of the
Oh, thank
reasons
you.
why I think that
Yeah.
marketing nowadays is very much tailored towards what is authentic. It's one of the most
Mhm.
powerful things we have in marketing now is our authenticity, because people are so used to being marketed. Like one of
Mhm.
the phrases I've heard said is scrappy is the new perfect. You know,
Mhm.
people don't want things to be too polished or too
Mhm.
Yeah.
that way, because then it feels like some company has been like working on this to make it
Yeah.
targeted towards you, whereas like you're just like, hey, this is what I'm doing today, check this out, this is great.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's like authentic because it's you, and it's what you're wearing that day, it's what you're doing
Mhm.
that day, it's like here's what's coming up, and it keeps people engaged in somewhat of your story, right? You're
Mhm.
part of your brand.
Yeah,
For sure.
especially short form videos I find are super on that vein, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram. And that is definitely, I agree with what Chris is saying. Your content's definitely tapping into that, which is
Thank
really
you.
cool.
I try and just keep it just pretty real and simple.
Speaking of keeping it real and simple, that does nice little segue there into
Okay.
Mm.
something I wanted to ask you, which was about your business. What are some of the core values around? Because when you have your own
Mhm.
entrepreneurial venture, it's an opportunity to really push what do I want to put out in the world? Like what do I
Mhm.
want to manifest? And so I'm curious for you, what are some of the values that you like to manifest?
Okay. For me, I would say I wanted to create a product that everybody could wear. And what I mean by that is everyone of every size. So,
Mm,
specifically for my products, I offer brackets in small, medium, and large. And if in the future I need to expand the sizes, I can do that because I'm a small business. I make my own molds here, I make everything in house. So, I can quickly make those decisions that a bigger business probably couldn't make it so quickly because they have to go
right.
through a whole.
Hmm. Approval process or
Oh,
something.
And a
yeah, it's a
factory
whole
too.
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a whole thing for a bigger business, but for me, it's like if somebody's like, "Hey, could you make this in a bigger size?" Of course. Why not?
Mm.
Everyone should
Yeah.
be able to wear them. So for me, I'm making a wearable product that is inclusive of everyone's size, which is really important to me. It's like you can't say you want inclusivity in fantasy, but you're not putting out products that keep that in mind.
Mm.
So
Cool.
that's what I'm trying to offer, and fun designs, of course, and things that get people excited and inspired. And I also try and make sure, like, what are some colors you like, and I'll take feedback in and I'll paint them those colors that people are saying. I have no problem with that. But that would be my what I'm preaching here: inclusivity.
Hmm.
For real. Let's be inclusive.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I was actually, that leads into the question I was wanting to ask is, if do you take custom orders, or if someone
Ah,
says like,
you
I
beat me to
want,
it.
I'm sorry, it was a perfect segue. You set it up.
Ah,
But yeah, are you doing anything, like if I said I want, like, I don't know, bat wings, or if I want like reddish color wings instead of pinkish or purple, or like, do you do custom orders?
Yeah. I don't do commissions this year, but I will be doing commissions next year. I paused it
Okay.
because I was trying to get a schedule going, which I'm trying to do for the rest of the year. And then once I get the group going, I'm going to open back up for commissions. But yes, I will be taking commissions, and you can come to me with inspo photos, and it is a slightly higher price because I have to design it and
right.
get you a vector file and all that fun stuff. And it's not impossible. And I'm so excited to start doing that sort of stuff next year because you'll really have something that's super unique.
Mhm.
I
Do
did
you
want to ask
have
about pricing too, just because like I think a lot of artists ask us, or I've heard, so let me rephrase that. I think a lot of people who are artists or looking to start making money off their art have a
Mhm.
tough time knowing how to price something. And is there a philosophy around that you followed to be able to find pricing for your products?
I think at first I was under pricing myself because I was trying to get a foot in.
Mm.
But
right.
but I knew how much I was supposed to be pricing, but I'm like, there's no way that I'm gonna price it at that much when nobody knows who I am, when no one knows the quality of my stuff. I have to kind of build a reputation before I can price it at what I was actually comfortable pricing it at. So I would say obviously you have to factor in material costs and how long it takes you to make it. Like you need to get paid.
Hmm.
Yeah, right.
And then yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, name your price. If the people see your quality, they're gonna pay for it. That's it.
Hmm.
Like be selfless about it. It's if that's not in their budget, they can go elsewhere. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's just no way around it. I think people are afraid to get backlash if they price at a certain price point, and then when they end up pricing it at that, people will pay for it. It's
Yeah.
really up to you at the end of the day.
Yeah,
There's
yeah, I like that. It's you as the business owner, you're gonna find an audience.
Mm.
It's not so much the idea of, oh my gosh, that one person or those two people said my price is too high. I
Mhm.
better change everything about my
No.
money making and I'll starve in order to sell these. It's more so you'll find that audience somewhere.
I'm curious, who do
Mhm.
you follow that sort of inspires you or keeps you motivated?
Oh, I get this question a lot, and then I feel like I don't have the best answer for this. I mean, inspiration-wise, I feel like my friend and photographer Joy, she inspires me a lot from the witching hour
Mm,
photography. Enchanted Living always inspires me because they post so many other people on that I can go and I'm like, "Ooh, who's this?" and discover different people from them. But I don't really have specific like I don't really have another wing maker that I could
Hmm.
really
You're the
say.
first one I've ever seen, so it's
I
like pretty
mean,
cool. Yeah.
they're out there. I follow some, but I can't like I actually what I do is I intentionally use their pages because I don't want to accidentally get inspired.
Yeah,
that makes
I don't
sense.
know if
right.
that makes sense. Like, it's like, I
Totally.
love you guys, I support you, but like, you're so fly that I don't want to end up copying you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. You sound very self-driven and motivated. Where does that come from?
I'll take it. I think that I don't know, like sometimes when you're not given very many opportunities and you just kind of see one, you just snatch it up real quick. Like I run with it. I ran with it. My husband says I have a lot of energy. Like my day is very full. I work full time. I work out and then I come down here. I work on things. I can be social on social media, and I don't know. I feel like it's very rewarding when I get a really great customer review, or if somebody saw a photo that I was modeling and they send me a message and say, "Oh my God, my daughter looks just like you, and she was just so inspired." And so when I'm making those little life changing moments for other people, it's like, how could I not have this drive? How could I not want to keep going and doing what I'm doing?
When you are, when you have been, while you've been building this up, what is one of the harder things that you find to pursue this passion?
I think an obstacle at first isn't anymore, but it was at first when I was starting. It was maybe getting criticism, as in like not specifically criticism, but when I would get requests of designs that weren't my own, I would kind of feel insulted, like, oh, my stuff, maybe they don't
Oh
like
yeah.
what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, maybe they just want it would be a simple butterfly design, but to me, I'm like, I would never make a basic butterfly. Who wants that? But but now I'm like, no, it's actually a positive thing. Like they want to buy that basic butterfly from me. It doesn't matter if it's a butterfly or something else. Like at the end of the day, they wanted to buy it from me. But I didn't see it like that at first. It was kind of
Mm,
insulting. But now I'm like, oh, they just want to buy it from me. Even if I'm making the basic butterfly design, they still just want to buy it from me.
that's a really interesting point, and I think there's a great lesson in there about not only finding that, oh, they want to buy from me, but do you find that it's also a good education moment? I'm trying to phrase a specific thing in a question, and I'm trying really hard and it's not coming to me. So basically what I'm trying to say is, does it feel like a chance for people to tell you, hey, this is what I want, and then you say, oh, there's a demand for this?
Exactly. Yeah, you got it. You got there eventually.
There was a question. Unfortunately, it was a leading question, a very leading question.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly. If you just stop yourself for a second and remove yourself and think, wait a minute, it's not just that they want this basic butterfly, it's that there's a demand for it, people want to buy it, they want to buy it from you. I guess you better start making those butterfly wings. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like at first it would have felt like I was selling out, but now it just feels like no, this is what the people I have to give the people what they want. That's so silly of me to think I'm too good for a butterfly. No, I'm not too good for
Yeah.
anything. I'm making those damn butterfly wings. Forget about it.
Yeah.
all I'm thinking about now is like, should I go as the monarch from Venture Brothers for Halloween? Because
Exactly,
like
you
it
should.
sounds so cool now that I now have a hookup for butterfly wings.
Yes.
Like, but that, like honestly, like, I keep thinking about that. I'm like, man, if someone wanted to do that and like was willing to put some time and investment into it, wow, that would be a really really cool cosplay for
Mhm.
going to Comic Con or something else. And I haven't seen too many people doing it. Like most cosplays are kind of played out, but the Monarch from Venture Brothers, and if you don't know that, go Google it. It's pretty
I
hilarious.
have to Google it, but I could say, Chris,
Well,
I could see you rocking a corset, man.
You know what? I think I did go to theater school, and I won't say it
yes.
would be my first one. So yeah.
Yeah, corsets and tights. Yep, that's all like in the package of being a theater kid. That's all part of
Yeah.
it.
Oh.
So when you're running your own business, sometimes it tends to get hard mentally, or there's a burnout or a fatigue
Mhm.
that comes from being the person who drives everything forward. Because you're an army of kind of one, right? Like you're that entrepreneur, nerdpreneur army of one. What do you do to kind of get past that or get yourself going and again when those feelings of fatigue or stress or burnout come around?
I think for me, I give myself grace now. At first, it would really frustrate me because I was against my nature, my drive to like want to keep going. But then it's just like if I keep going like this, I'm gonna want to stop, and I'm gonna want to stop forever. And so
Mm.
it's just like give yourself that grace and take the time. Get back on socials when you're ready. Sometimes it takes me a couple of days to just pause, shut it all off, and then I can hop back on. Sometimes it takes me a week or 2 weeks. It's fine. But definitely, it happens to everybody, and it's just like take your time, disengage, shut it all off, get away from it, and come back nice and refreshed.
It's kind of nice what you're saying about I mean, because your business is very much it benefits from social media, but it doesn't rely on it. And that's really
Mhm.
nice because I mean your products are the physical wings, the wings that you make. And
Mhm.
so having that, being able to take that space and that time is really nice because like, hey, look, I'm just gonna like disconnect. I'm gonna make the wings. And when I'm ready, I'll post. I'll post
Mhm.
and I will then eventually post that there's stuff on the shop.
Mhm.
And that's a nice balance to have.
What I really like about what you said as well is it's really not just what I'm going to keep, what's sustainable, because you
Mhm.
said, like, if I keep going at this pace, I'll want to quit forever. And that's
Mhm.
not really what you want to do.
Right.
It's very easy to sometimes get wrapped up in something, get so excited, and then like wind up pushing and pushing and pushing. It's like working out too hard, right? Like if you do that, then you're not going to do your next day at the gym or the day after that or even the day after that, and then you wind up having less done by the end of the week than the person who would have just done a little bit every single day. And so there's that
Mhm.
ability to whatever you're going into as an entrepreneur or a nerdpreneur, you really need to balance that sustainability for yourself, so that you're making progress and not just focusing on perfection of getting everything done.
And
Mhm.
it's cool that you're doing that
Yeah.
because I have not. It's taken me a lot of times to learn that the hard way.
Yeah,
I know.
definitely. Yeah. It's a lesson learned through experience, I think, too. When you step into bigger parts of yourself and outside your
Mhm.
comfort zone, you all of a
Mhm.
sudden realize, like, oh, this growth thing, it takes time,
Yeah.
and it eventually becomes easier. But we have to be kind to ourselves. And I'll just say that so many of our podcast guests have had that lesson and shared that advice, and I love when we get to hear that lesson again and again from different perspectives of that being kind to yourself, to take a break, get
Mhm.
back to it, and just be kind to yourself in that process.
Speaking of growth, where do you see it going from here?
I know in about a year or within this year, I want to go. I mean, I've never been to a Ren fair or a Comic Con or a Comic nothing.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I
live
know.
events.
Yeah, like I've
wow.
never
They're
like
coming back.
physically. I know, and they're all coming back. So like, I'd actually want to go get dressed, wear wings, and go and experience one, and then kind of scope out how it is to be a vendor there and all this stuff, and get all that kind of information. And the following year, I'd like to actually set up and be vendors at events and things like that. But this year, I'd like to scope it out and see what's going on the ground.
That's pretty
Nice.
fun research too, right?
Oh
It's like
yeah,
go out there, you get to rock your different wings and like go and see all
yeah.
the other vendors. Like that's the really fun part of like doing the entrepreneurial thing, going out there and research. Do you have any
Mhm.
conferences?
Conventions?
Conventions is what they're called, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you have any conventions that you're like, man, I can't wait to go to this, or this is a dream convention to actually be at?
I mean, I really wanted to go to Black Friday this year, but I'm not gonna make it. It's in Georgia. I'm in
Mm.
Massachusetts. We're renovating our bathroom. It's just things are expensive right now. It's just not gonna happen. But I really wanted to go. Other than that, I think that's as far as I know. There's a few in Connecticut, but other than that, I'm gonna keep it local. I can where I can drive and I can save some bucks and
Yeah.
there's so many local things that go on nowadays too. That like we talked to our first episode was with a board game designer who he got started in the board game industry by going to conventions as well, and
Oh,
he literally just did a couple around his area, and then eventually made the jump to be like, okay, on my next one I'm going to go out of state, and then I'm going to go across the country for one, and then eventually he
okay.
just became like this household name in the business. But you think about that, it's like that process of getting out there on live events, it's I think a real vehicle for people to really get noticed into an industry, and was
Yeah.
taken away for a while.
Right.
This is really exciting that it's coming back, and I think it'll be a big game changer for one, I think your business, but also many businesses out there if you can
Hmm.
find the live events and local events that happen in your niche. What's some really bad advice you got in your niche or in your business as you were growing?
I would say that some bad advice was to post every day.
Yeah.
That's some really bad advice that I would often see and be given. Like, you need to post every day. You need to use this many hashtags. You need to post twice a day at different times and all this stuff. And the obsession with the posting was just not. It wasn't good advice. It was just like, that's not sustainable for me. I work full time. There's no way I can post that many times. And then when you do see other people posting that much, it just discourages you because you're like, I can't keep up. I can't keep up with these people. Like, I just can't do it. I can't post every day, so I'm not gonna go anywhere. Not true.
Yeah. Imagine our brains go to that place right away. It's like, well, if I can't do what that very successful person over there is doing,
Mhm.
well, then there's no way I can even conclude. I can't have success. But
Right.
that's not true, right? I mean,
Not true at all.
no, like there's so much to do with making again progress and not just focusing on perfection. There's some saying that people say that compare yourself to where you were yesterday versus where someone else is today.
I like that.
Yeah. So I'm curious, when you first started down this, we talked a bit about, people reaching out and asking you for something and then realizing like, oh, maybe I should do that. But what about, were there people that reached out in the beginning that were critics? What were they saying, and how did you wrestle with that?
I can say that I'm lucky that I have not gotten that. I've not gotten
Really?
like, yeah, I've not gotten critics or anybody being rude or anything like that. I have learned a very good lesson in customer service. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. But nothing, no one's ever been like nasty or anything like that.
So you have experience in customer service prior to this?
Yeah, or with this, I've experienced customer service and just the nature of customer service. Like,
I see.
it's a product, but it's a very service-based
Mm.
thing. Like, when somebody's asking for a specific color or being able to customize something, like, I guess I have the bad habit of being very available. So, like, if I get a message and I'm sleeping and I feel that phone vibrating, I'm up.
Mm.
Dang.
Because people are in different time zones. So then I'm like,
Hmm.
no, I'm like customer service.
Oh,
Yeah, strike
wow.
while the
But
iron's hot too. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, oh, what colors? I don't have it. I'm like, let me go buy the colors right now. But
Whoa.
that's just the way I am with the customer service. It's like they do say the customer's always right. They kind of are, but I mean, sometimes you just gotta let them
Yeah.
down a little gently. But for the most part, they are always right, and you just try and service them as best as you can. Because one bad review, it's
Mm.
over,
Mm.
folks.
Whoa, that's quite the feeling, I bet. That's like thin ice.
Yeah.
It feels like it. Like when somebody's messaging you on Etsy or via DMs on Instagram, like you are on thin ice. Like you need to be
Mhm.
Wow.
nice with an extra cup of nice. And if you're feeling like you're about to answer something, this is a tip. If you're feeling like you're about to be a little nasty in the message, put the phone down, walk away. Walk
Yeah,
away. Do not
that's so
answer
true.
customers emotionally. It is not going to benefit you. Walk away.
I totally, man, I just gotta second that with like, especially with comments on social
Mm,
media. So in like I manage YouTube channels, and one of the comments that we get for my day job, one of the comments I remember I really got me upset because I was very passionate about the video. Like I really
mm,
believed it. And then they were bashing pretty much our stance.
mm.
And my partner, she read what I was saying, and she's like, you need to walk away. Like, this is not okay to say to them. Like, I hadn't hit enter yet. And so
Ooh,
now
she
I very
saved
much,
you.
Oh, she totally did. She totally did. But now it's those moments. It's like, okay, if I have enough like hatred for this
Mm,
person
walk
festering
away.
inside me, yeah, I got to put it down. I'll walk away. I'm surprised that you're so available. I mean, that you're willing to be woken up by these
I'm
messages.
not, but I have to be.
Wow, I just put my phone on silent. I say like,
Oh,
no.
no, I'm there. I'm there.
Wow, wow. How
I'm
do you feel? How do you feel about that? Does it feel like,
Makes me excited. It makes me feel like I'm like on fire. I don't know if that makes sense, but like
yeah,
the progress and the just being able to be available for people, I'm like, oh, I got this. I got
well,
this. I
nice?
can do this by myself for like maybe a couple more years. I'll probably need some help, but I'm also able to, if I do have employees in the future, instill that in them. Like, make sure you're on top of it. Make sure you're servicing these customers. Make sure you're not being nasty in those messages, and walk away and have a coffee if you're getting upset.
mhm.
Don't put it on them. Maybe they're having a bad day. It is what it is.
Yeah,
That's that nerdpreneur fire, I think, of
Yeah.
passion that like you're excited about what you do too.
Mhm.
And it's clear, like if it's my work, you know, hopefully my work isn't listening to this, but like if it's my work messaging me at 11 o'clock PM, right?
Yeah.
I'm less excited to answer that versus somebody
Oh,
who is like, "Yo, can I hit you up for some professional dungeon master advice? Because I think that
oh
would be really
yeah.
cool." Like, I'm all in to talk to the person about that, but it's a little harder for people who are, "Hey, I need this report done," or "Hey, do you have an answer to this question?" When it's not in my passion. That's that nerdpreneur passion switching on that I think is really cool, where you're willing to put the hours in outside of
Mhm.
what it is because it's for your passion and you care about it, and that's apparent. How do you explain to people what you do in like regular life? Does this come up very often, or is it one of those
So
things that
weird. I just
yeah.
had to do it. I just had to do it today at the gym. I go to the gym every day and I work out, but I teach once a week. So today I was like, if you guys don't see me once a week out of the month, it's because I run an Etsy shop and I do my drops during that last week I prepare all my listings and I have a lot of prep work to do for the drops. So I'm not here during that week. And they're like, so what do you sell on Etsy?
that's a nice little
and,
plug.
and I'm like, fairy wings? And they're like fairy wings? And I'm like, yeah, like, people wear them in cosplay and all these costumes and fantasy stuff. Fairy wings. And they're like, oh, okay. Like, okay, yeah, let's work out. Let's move on.
Yeah, no, they're like done at
Yeah.
that point. They've got nothing to say.
I'm like, wrap it up. Let's go.
Yeah.
You should
Does
do
it feel?
a fairy
d-
workout, you know?
Does it? Oh man, I can that I can feel
Just
like
do
I
it.
just feel
That's a
like that would
TikTok right
be a
there.
bad comedic skit right there. Just like, all right, let's flap our wings. Like, oh man, like face palm, big time. I was just gonna ask, what kind of things are you nerdy about outside of fairy wings? I feel like that came from somewhere. You kind of told us a
Mhm,
story, came from modeling and
mhm.
whatnot. Are there other things maybe around that, or maybe not, that you're nerdy about?
Man, I tell you guys, I think I'm failing you. I'm not as nerdy as I guess I would like to
Well,
say for this podcast, but
okay, okay.
no, aside from that, I mean, I work full time for a candle company, and
Mhm.
then are candles nerdy? Did I win there? I mean, everybody likes candles though.
Everyone, yeah, people love
Maybe
candles. This does touch on one of the other things I wanted to get at, which is how you might define a nerd. And
I
this
mean,
is not a trap. This is not a trap. You can say whatever you want.
you
I'm
could say,
like,
you could say the host of Nerdpreneur. That's basically probably the bit. I feel like we talk to people
Chris
all the time
and
that they're like,
Frank are right
Yeah,
in the dictionary, right next to
yeah.
nerd.
yeah,
How do you spell
pictures of
nerd?
us.
Frank. Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah.
guess I guess for me, if I had to describe a nerd, it would be somebody who's so enthralled into their passion that they are like a horse with the blinders on. Like I
Mhm.
remember in middle school, we'd be playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and we were so
Yeah,
Mm.
enthralled in those damn cards that like people would have their lunch around us. We wouldn't even have lunch. We wouldn't eat lunch. The table was just full of cards, and
yeah,
it was things like that where it's just like it's that nerd passion. Like when you get so hyper focused on something, you don't even realize that it's not cool or it's not the most popular thing. That would be a nerd. Like you don't, and sometimes like because of it, you just like social cues are kind of weird to you because you just focused your whole life into that thing that you're a little socially awkward. Then it also makes you
yeah.
a bit nerdy in that aspect, but it's because you're so laser focused on that activity or that thing that you love so much. That's what I would
Mhm.
say a nerd is.
I think the socially awkward thing is very interesting because I definitely sound socially awkward when I talk about what I'm nerdy about. And I consider myself socially competent, but when I start talking about like Dungeons and Dragons or something else, that I'm nerdy about, it's kind of like I trip over my words. I fail to really
Mhm.
explain things clearly.
Well, there seems to be so much context needed sometimes when we talk about nerdiness or nerd things. I feel like there's just a passion that's inexplainable for people when they get into their nerdy passion. And
Mhm.
there's a language behind it. There's things that
Mhm.
other people won't understand or appreciate because you've gone deeper on that subject than others. And I mean, we found this when we were talking to a tarantula breeder in one of our other episodes, where it was like he knows everything about tarantulas, for example, and we really knew very little about it. And it's kind of interesting to see, like, okay, well, the thing he loves, that needs some explanation as to why he loves it, right? He need a little bit. You hear that initially, and it's like, whoa, who likes tarantulas? But
Yeah.
actually, as you dig in with him and start to feel a little bit more of the understanding and why he likes them and all this, there's so much more context around
Mm.
the love of it that people get excited from that passion. And I think that when you're saying, oh, it becomes socially awkward, it's because we're trying to convey the level of depth and excitement that we have
Mhm.
in this brief moment for you. Like, hold on, D20s, you got to roll them all the time. But wait, oh, you don't know what a D20 is. Hold on, let's go back. And
Yeah. Let me explain what this thing is,
it's a game that's in your head, but actually, wait, no, you don't understand it. It's more like imagination, and we're all collectively sharing it. Like, just trying to explain D&D is its own like viral TikTok video because people do it so badly.
Have you ever played?
No, Joy
No.
from the Witching Hour Photography. She says she has a game night every Saturday of the month, and she had invited me. And I'm like, "What is it? What is it?" And she's like, "It's kind of like chess, but not." And I'm like, "Huh?"
See, it is hard
that's
to
that's
explain.
And
that's not a good sell.
she did the same thing that you just said. Like, she was trying to explain it, but like she was confusing me with her. She turned me off to it because her explanation was kind of like
Yeah.
it's
Well,
chess, and I'm like, "Well, why
yeah.
would I want to sit around and play chess?" But then she's like, "But it's not," and I'm like, "You said it was."
Yeah, I would say it's a weird cross between so many things, but you mentioned a passion previously for Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
When
And
I was a kid, but not anymore.
well, that's okay. I mean, I'm not, hey, no nerd bashing here, but if, I would say that there's some carryover. I never played Yu-Gi-Oh, but I
Yeah.
understand the concept. You're protecting yourself and you're trying to collect these cards in your hand
Yeah.
to win ultimately. And that, there is an element of that in D&D. There's a lot of this, like, you get caught up in this world and these concepts and these things, and you see them and you imagine, like, I play this, and you're
Yes.
like, I cast fireball. Like,
She
there's
showed me the
that.
cards. She showed me the
Oh,
cards, and I thought they were Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
oh, okay.
I was like, "Are these Yu-Gi-Oh?" And she's like, "No, it's D&D." I'm like, "What is that?" But they look like Yu-Gi-Oh cards because that's what I was a kid I would play with, and Pokemon too, and all that stuff. But it's just like, isn't it the same? And it's not.
Hmm.
And I like the cards.
Yeah.
I like the graphics and stuff, so it kind of interests me in that aspect because I like art.
Yep. Magic the Gathering's definitely in that vein as well. Did you ever play Magic the Gathering?
Mm-mm.
No, okay, because very much like you've heard of it, right?
No.
No?
No,
Oh my
no.
gosh. Okay,
Dude,
because if you did Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, like Magic the Gathering is the number one best-selling card game, and like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon are coming back
cardboard
and all
crack
that.
is what it's referred to
Oh yeah,
affectionately.
you crack a pack. You crack a pack just to like
It's
feel
very
life.
addictive for some people to play.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But anyway, beautiful art on that as well. So
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's why I mentioned it.
Yeah,
But
this is I always say that if you do get invited to play D&D, give it a shot. Just go
yeah.
and not try to know too much about what it is because it's like it's D&D is like love. It's hard to explain. It is just something you have to experience. That's my explanation.
I'll
Clearly a
take it.
romantic.
I guess I will try it the next time.
I mean, but given that you're such a busy person, you've got so much going on, I could understand how it might be tough. That's a hard sell. It's
Mhm.
like 2 to 3 hours sitting down at least.
At least, right? Because she said they go they go the whole night.
6 hours? Yeah.
They go
Yeah, I'm
six
like,
months or a year sometimes in games. So it's like that's too intimidating for people. First off, I always tell
Yeah.
my advice to people is don't even tell them you're playing D&D. Just like we're having a board game night, a bunch of people coming over, and then
uh,
hand them character sheets and be
Yeah.
like, "This is what we're doing tonight. Here's some dice. We're gonna have fun."
Now you know the red flags, T.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly. If you ever
I'm like,
get invited to a board game night at Chris's, you better believe it's going to be D&D. uh, I have a question. If you had 1 million followers, what advice would you give them?
I think that if I had a million followers, I would say to them, if you're on socials for you're consuming social media, make sure you're curating your following. Make sure you're curating the people you're following because it's very easy to get influenced maybe by the not most best people.
Mm.
And it's your job as the owner of that Instagram account to curate what you see. So I guess that's an advice I would, especially young people like yours. So as the influencee, make sure
Yeah.
you're taking that in and curate your feed and curate what you see every day because it does affect you. What you see every day, like it affects you whether you're realizing it or not. That's a tip I give to people.
That's
That's
a great.
good.
That is great advice. And I noticed as well on your Instagram, you only follow 88 people, which is like the complete opposite of my Instagram, where I think I follow like 3,000 people. So
and I
yeah,
constantly go through it and take people out.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Like I'll keep it never goes past 100 because I'm like, I don't like what you're posting. Not necessarily my vibe. I don't want to.
Mhm. Protecting your psyche is really, really smart.
Yes, that and as a business owner too, like you need to protect your mental. My mental is gentle. Sometimes I get sad and stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to go on my feed and then see more sad things or see just things I don't want to see.
I really like what you just said there. Gotta protect your mental, and your mental is gentle. Like that
Oh
had a
yeah.
really nice flow to it, and I totally vibe with that.
That
Like,
was Kanye West, by the way. That was not mine.
Oh, okay.
dang it. I stopped listening to Kanye about like 8
I
years
know,
ago.
I know.
So,
He's a hot mess. He's a hot mess.
yeah.
But it was him. He said, I'm gentle with my mental.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I love that. Okay. Well, okay, fine. Thank you, Kanye. But like, thank you for bringing that up. I really like that point because yeah, we totally are influenced. I mean, I recently just removed TikTok from my phone and because it is not only is it a time sink, but so much of the stuff that comes
Mhm.
up. Meanwhile, while I did curate what I would look at, it's still just like, oh my God, there's so much of this happening. How do these people? How do they post like this? How do they live like this? And etc.
Mhm.
Do you think that there's going to be a point where there's like a diminishing loss of return on these apps being so good at being addictive that people become the opposite, where like there'll be a revolt against it and people will just say, no, I'm just going to delete the app like what you just did? Because I'm hearing that more and more. And these apps are so curated to be addictive that it is like you flip it on and you're like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes has gone by. You don't even notice. And people start to realize at some point in their life how damaging that can be. Do you think there's going to be a point where the addictiveness of these apps and like the tailorness and the psychiness is actually going to turn on them and make them less powerful?
On the apps themselves?
Or on the people? Like, I think people will kind of revolt against the idea even of like, I'll just delete social media, or I'll just delete Facebook, I'll just delete Instagram, I'll get rid of all that because I can't. It's like, I mean, for lack of a better example, but like heroin, it's like I'm not gonna do it because it's very, very dangerous in my life. And because these things have been so tailor made to be like brain heroin in some ways, how I just wonder if it'll switch around.
I like this question because I personally I have TikTok, but I'm not on it. My notifications are shut off from it. I don't really go on it. I've posted a few times on it, but pretty much in a way just a ghost app on my phone. I don't use it. I don't go on it because it is a sinkhole and it's to me it's weird. Like I'm like, how can you spend hours just going like this all damn day? Like that's so counterproductive to me as someone that's running a business and has so much going on. Like I don't have time to be on TikTok scrolling like that. That's so weird.
Yes.
It's so weird to me. I'm like, but then I can see like for us, the people that are now getting more and more turned off by it, I can see them quickly adjusting something else that's gonna suck us in somehow. like there's science behind the way that they do it. There's science behind the way that the videos are so short and capture you and kind of suck you in like that. I'm sure they're gonna figure out a way to do it to us. Maybe it's through podcasts. Everyone and their mom has a podcast. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's true. There's a lot of podcasts out there.
Yeah, and I
Oh, yeah.
love podcasts. That's my brain juice right there. I'm like, give me all the podcasts. I love just listening to people talk, and I'll work on things and listen to podcasts. So maybe that's our thing.
Mhm.
But for the younger people, they love the TikTok. They're on it.
Yeah. That short attention span. It's
Yeah,
it's
like they're
perfect
taking
for it.
advantage of that and marketing it to younger people. Although there's some content on there that is questionable for younger people to be consuming, but whatever.
Yeah, not a lot of. I mean, that's a perfect example of technology advancing faster than safety guidelines or regulation. There's the word.
Laws and
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, quicker than evolution for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
there is a lot. I mean, touching on that social media being a dangerous vice, there's a lot in there about just how, it is tapping into the fact that we are such short attention span creatures. And in fact,
Mhm.
school is an example of trying to hardwire us into being better at focusing. And
Mhm.
it's not very inclusive because it doesn't take into account people who biologically, neurologically can't focus as well. And so, there's that issue, but damn, social media is doing great to keep everyone's attention, and they're making it harder for people to focus, me included.
Should we move on to the random rolls and do some of the
Yeah.
rapid fire questions? I think we should leave a little time for
Okay.
that and get through a few.
So you got that link I think I sent in the server?
Oh, in the server.
Yeah, it's called brockjones.com.
Which is a weird name for a dice
I did
rolling
not
company,
realize that
but-
was the URL. I just thought it would have been like internetdice.com or something.
No. Let me see. Maybe I'll just pull it up on my phone. That's funny though.
Yeah. Definitely does. It sounds more like a.
What'd you say it was?
rated-
Rock what?
Brock Jones. It sounds more
Brock
like
Jones?
a porn
That's somebody's
star,
name.
really. Yeah. It doesn't. It sounds. Definitely doesn't sound like a dice.
Oh, okay.
URL.
Brock Jones. Oh, I love that was the first actual thing that came up. Brock Jones dice roller.
There we go.
And then there's a lot of D's. Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds really gross.
Different sided dice. Yeah, especially after the whole porn star comment.
I
Yeah.
know. Which
So you're
one?
gonna want to do the one all the way on the right, the D100.
Oh, 100. Okay. 53.
Ooh,
Uh-oh.
this is interesting. So this is a Star Trek question. Do you have any
Oh.
context on Star Trek?
No.
All right.
No.
It's actually, I shouldn't really even frame it as like a Star Trek question because I think it's less Trekky than you might think. But in Star Trek, there are 6 divisions. There's science, medicine, command, con, which is communications, security, and engineering. If you had to choose one of those to study, which one would you have chosen?
Engineering.
Engineering.
Totally makes sense if you're someone who's building and crafting things, right?
Yeah, right.
Make a better wing. I think that
Yeah.
totally lines up with engineering, right?
Now, what I wouldn't expect you to know this, but would in the Star Trek world, so I'm the Star Trek guy, obviously, but in that world, the people in the engineering department usually get very angry with the machinery because it doesn't quite work. Yeah, how do you manage your stress and your anger?
I go to boxing.
There you go. You hit stuff. That's perfect.
There we go.
You are qualified.
I work out. That's
There
why
you
I work
go.
out so much.
Okay.
It's amazing if you work out every day, how much less stress will affect you too, right? Like you burn off
Oh
that
my
energy,
God.
then you can kind of take it on, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I recommend it if you can, if you're able to, body able, all that good stuff. Work out, please, people. Move.
Yeah.
I keep talking to Frank about that. He's like,
What?
We're
Made
gonna
it
get
sound like
you-
I don't move, dude.
We're gonna get you.
I know
working,
I'm like
pumping some iron.
pasty white, like I don't go out ever. I know I look that way. Thanks, Chris.
I'm just hazing you.
He's just hackling me. Okay, so go ahead and roll the
Another
D100
one?
one more time.
66.
66. This is a very D&D focused question.
God.
And I'm wondering, wondering how much if the
I think I have a
setup is.
way to I think I have a
I think
way
I
to
do too.
phrase it.
I think I
Okay.
do too. Here, you add on if I missed something.
Sure,
So
sure.
there is a realm in Dungeons and Dragons called the Underdark, and
Okay.
it is literally underground, and
Huh.
there is a lot of life under there actually, but you have to go like miles under the surface to find it.
Okay.
And it's typically a very scary place. There's a lot of unknowns because the people on the surface rely on light, and there's not much down there. They have
Okay.
this like thing where they can see heat and all that. Anyway, I'm going a little too deep.
It's okay. I'm picturing it all.
All right,
Continue.
yeah, we're experienced dungeon masters. So, what would send you, maybe this is more of like a metaphorical, but what would send you into the Underdark if you had to go somewhere where people typically don't tread from where you live?
I would say,
Mm,
what is your metaphorical call to adventure? That's another
Oh,
way I was
jeez.
going to think about it.
okay.
Sorry, I know that's my pretentious, douchey way of
Man,
asking
you're
that
just like,
question, but
that's not okay. All right. We can go that route too. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I think what would send me I think what would make me go down there and adventure is just discovering the unknown. Like, why not? Why not go down there and find out what's down there?
Curiosity, then.
I don't like to live. I really don't like to live in the what ifs. Like, I really don't. Like, it's like I'll never be. I'll never, luckily, be that person that's like, what if I would have started that business? No, I did it. It could have been scary. It could have been my underdark, but it's just like no.
You know, I'm so glad that we actually asked this because it really touches on you. It brings back to something that you said earlier about how you started this. You really
Hmm.
did just, you kind of tried it and you realized, hey, like if this thing came up and it seems to be successful, like there's some promise here. I'm gonna hold on to that. And
If I would have never went to that underdark, I would have never had a successful business and all this stuff. Like, it's like no,
yeah.
take those leaps, people.
And that's so cool
And
because that's the true sign of an adventurer. And yes, that
Mhm.
could be like Lord of the Rings adventure, but in this real world, you are an adventurer. People, these nerdpreneurs are
Mhm.
adventurers. They are going
For
out.
sure.
and if there's anything I love, it's an overextended metaphor. So, like,
Oh
you all
yeah.
have your own underdark that we have to
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
pursue, right? And like, what is
I
in the
agree.
underdark? It's that unknown, fearful place that we get
Yes.
to. We can stay comfortably on the surface, or we can boldly go
Hmm.
into the underdark. I like that. That was cool. I'm glad we unearthed that. Uh,
That
Photo.
was, we didn't
Okay.
know where the heck that was gonna go, but I'm glad we went there. All
All
right.
right, one
Now,
more.
next section. Oh, well, I was thinking we
Let's
just
do
move on to rapid fire. You want to do one more, Chris?
let's do one more. These have been
More,
great. And we got a
one
little
more.
time, so yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'll roll one more. I got 42.
We can't do that one, man. It's Magic the Gathering.
All right,
Oh,
here. Okay, yeah,
no
we're not gonna do
metaphor.
magic. Let's do
Yeah,
43.
okay. Actually, there's definitely a metaphor here as well. There's definitely. If you want to help Chris, but you got this.
Yeah, no, to explain all the colors of Magic the Gathering, I feel it is just too much right now. But I think 43 is a really cool question. It hasn't come up yet, so I want to ask that
Okay.
if that's cool. We're gonna plus one it. So if you were able to learn a skill like Neo from the Matrix, like the way he learned Kung Fu almost instantly, what skill would you
I
choose?
have seen that.
Yes, all right, we got you with
We
one
got a
right
reference.
there. Yeah, what skill would you choose to learn extra fast like Neo did?
Math.
Interesting.
What level of math?
It's exactly, it's a basic skill, but like I'm not the best at math. So I would love to learn like really advanced math to the point where like I wouldn't even need a computer. Like I could just code straight out the dome.
Nice.
Like super advanced math that would just
And
leave people
and
like
these wings are exact specifications to Fibonacci's sequence, in case you were wondering.
Ooh, the golden rule
yeah.
or golden ratio, not golden rule. That's something different. Golden ratio wings, like a spiral. Yeah, you can
Ooh,
take that one. That's free.
I'm taking
Yeah,
it.
Do it.
cool.
You're
Yeah.
done.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to rapid fire. So these are going to be quick questions and quick answers. And if you say something interesting or wrong, we will dive into it.
No.
Okay.
That's a joke. Best Spider-Man actor.
The one before Tom. Damn, I'm forgetting
Oh,
his
what's
name.
his
Oh,
name?
Garfield.
Yeah, Andrew
Yes.
Garfield.
Andrew
Yes.
Garfield.
We got one vote for Garfield so far. That's
No,
great. You're the first.
I'm in that boat totally.
Really?
Like I love him as an actor.
I like Tom, but I grew up on the other one.
Yeah, Garfield is a great actor. I'm there with you. He's good. He's good.
I'm a McGuire guy.
Toby?
Ew.
Yeah, I know.
No!
But don't, ew, come on. What's wrong with
Sorry, that slipped out. Whoops.
All right, what are your favorite 3 pizza toppings?
Jalapenos, sun-dried tomatoes,
Oh yes.
and oh yes, and garlic chunks.
What's it? Roasted garlic chunks?
Yeah,
I mean, they get roasted anyway, but like
Yeah, like roasted garlic that are like in olive oil.
yes. Yes. Oh my god. Did you have you ever tried you take the garlic. Wow. The garlic, you like chop off like the first half an inch from all of the top, you cover it in aluminum foil and put it in the oven. Have you ever done that?
No, but is that the thing that like spreads like butter afterwards?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Put it in for like you want to put a little olive oil and salt and pepper on it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Make sure you put a little
Like
olive oil,
some
salt, and pepper,
thyme.
seal it up, and then just let it cook for like 30 minutes, and it comes out great.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, especially since, on that vein, because you were saying earlier that taste is the one that you couldn't give up. Yeah. So what is your favorite meal of the day?
Like breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Oh, all 3?
No. Oh, which one? Which one could you like never get rid of? Like breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Dinner. I love dinner. I don't really eat breakfast, and sometimes not even lunch. I don't know, my natural metabolism. I just eat a big meal and I'm good.
See, I always say brunch, but he seems to think that's not a valid answer to this.
No, brunch is fine, man. It's just not one of the 3 options I gave.
I love brunch.
So what is
I wouldn't actually think brunch is a choice either. I'm kind of on Frank with this one. Like, I think brunch is something you do with family and friends.
It's a special event.
Yeah, I don't consider that like a meal time.
It's an event.
I guess it depends on if you're willing to have brunch every day, and I think I would be.
Okay.
Just some eggs Benedict every day. Yeah, I skip breakfast. I don't know. We'll see. It's a dream world.
It would make it less special for me, but yes, I see it.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to ask, what is it about dinner that you like so much?
I think it's the coming together, sitting down at a table, unwinding, talking about the day, and having your meal with your partner, my husband in this case. That whole aspect of it, and obviously the food.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's just that whole winding down aspect of dinner versus like lunch. And sometimes you eat lunch in a rush. Dinner, you sit down, you have that wine, you sit down and have dinner.
You don't have to rush dinner, which is great. You have to rush breakfast. You have to rush lunch sometimes.
Exactly.
I think that's a really good fact. I've never thought about it. No one rushes brunch, And
oh my god.
because brunch, you've usually waited 90 minutes to get into the damn place. So you're like, I'm going to sit on my ass and enjoy this fine experience and make all of them wait 90 minutes.
I love paying $40 for eggs. It's great.
The Pacific Northwest is pretty gross. It might be the same pricing over there, but it is not cheap over here.
How many cats is too many cats?
Oh, I want to get the cat community on me.
It's okay. We already have them on us. It's okay.
Okay. I think there's no such thing as too many, as long as you can keep them clean and cleanly and all well taken care of. They're not, if they look unhealthy and they're flea bags and they just look nasty, you got too many cats. All animal control to come grab some. But if you have 15 and they all look healthy and clean and they're all eating well, okay, whatever, have your damn 15 cats. That's my answer.
I like that. That's great.
I only have 2, and I don't think I'd get more because I wouldn't be able to take care of more. But if you can,
right.
All right.
Yeah, 2 cats is, I don't really have cats. I never really have, but I have a lot of friends that do. And they always talk about how 2 cats is the perfect spot because that way they get to keep each other company. And that really makes sense to me.
I agree.
I wanted to ask, given your day job, candles or incense?
Candles. I don't like incense.
Yeah? Is it too much smoke?
Uh-huh.
I get that.
Incense has weird associations with like college dorms and stuff too, I think. But I like incense.
So I'm surprised it's college dorms. I thought you were going to say hippies.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe. But there's always a college dorm hippie.
I grew up in a hippie community, so now if I burn some incense, I'm like, it's like home. Takes me back. I never think of a dorm room.
I always think about like, because I think the first time I ever smelled incense, because my parents hate incense, love candles. They were much more on the candle side. But when I was in college, there was always like that one hippie in the dorm who always burned incense, and then it would stink up the halls and stuff. And so everyone's like, that's why I think about incense. I'm sure they weren't trying to cover anything up. But yeah. Oh, I was going to ask if is ping pong a sport?
I think it is.
Not technically, but in your opinion.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't know if it technically is, but I think it is. I mean, anything that you're putting hours in and practicing, and that's a sport. It's like people that say NASCAR is not a sport. It's a sport. They're practicing. Are you practicing something? It's a sport.
Right.
Awesome.
People have ping pong coaches, don't they? Like this, it's a sport.
I don't know. I bet.
Okay.
I bet.
Probably, yeah.
I
think
think
if you're
so.
able to be coached in it, that makes sense. Yeah.
Who is cooler, Indiana Jones or Laura Croft?
Shit, I don't know who Laura Croft is, so I'm gonna say Indiana Jones.
She's Tomb Raider.
Oh no, I take it back. Not Indiana Jones.
No.
Who came to mind when I said Tomb Raider? Who was the face?
Not the face, but the outfit.
Oh, really?
Like her joggers and like the whole
and the two guns,
the belt and her whole
tank top of some kind.
Yeah, tank top. Yeah, like a tank top and just like looking like a badass. So definitely her.
Yeah, it's funny. I rewatched the movies. It was a couple years ago, but seeing them as an adult now is like, what was the wardrobe person thinking? Like, Angelina Jolie, she can pull off any outfit, but like the outfit that they gave her in the second movie was like, this is so not like some millionaire, billionaire wardrobe. What is going on here? But anyway, the movies are fun. I am with you though. Laura Croft, hands down, like amazing character.
Going back to food, what would be your favorite munchie or snack food?
I like salty foods, salty and savory foods. I'm not much of a sweets person. So I would say, although I'm giving up meat slowly, I would say like a really spicy Slim Jim.
Whoa.
Slim Jims. That's not so common up in Canada, but man, when I go down to the States, they're delicious.
I know. My mouth just got watery too thinking about it. Yeah, like a really
Me too.
Spicy Slim Jim.
If there was a zombie apocalypse, what would be your weapon of choice?
Machete.
That's an effective one. Close range.
You can, and then if you need to like run away and get through some weeds and shit, you can put your path.
Multi-purpose tool.
Multi-purpose tools.
Yeah.
Where can people find you and maybe get some wings from you and support you and all those great things?
People can find me over on Instagram at tpimentel. They can also buy wings over at creaturesofcraft.com on Etsy. And you can also find me on Facebook, Creatures of Craft. And I think, that's it. My socials are pretty short. I mean, if you happen to find me on TikTok, it's also at tpimentel, but I don't really post there too much.
Yeah, after what we just talked about, like
I'm not consistent there for sure.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out that's T with T-E-E, right?
Yes, T-E-E.
Pimentel. Sorry, how do you spell that?
Pimentel. Pimentel.
Well, thank you so much. This has been so fun and so awesome.
Yeah, so cool that you make this, and I'm so glad that we found you and that this happened.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Keep it nerdy. Keep it nerdy. Keep it real.
Thank you for listening to Nerdpreneur. Be sure to subscribe wherever you found us and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Every review helps our show grow. You can follow and chat with us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Nerdpreneur Podcast. Nerdpreneur is a labor of passion, and Chris and I would love to keep this thing going. So if you want us to continue making content, you can support us by going to patreon.com/nerdpreneur and become a member of the board. Members of the board get shout-outs, they can submit rapid-fire questions, they get behind-the-scenes peeks, and we record super fun and valuable content exclusive to our board members. We love all of you nerds. Keep it nerdy.
Nerdpreneur, you know I love my work. Life's a game, so I'ma take my turn. Nerds deserve to put the passion first, so let them rap a verse so they can all be heard.